Okay.
All right, very good. It is now 7:03. I'm going to go ahead and call to order. Since we've got a few new people, we're just going to go through a roll call. We'll have everybody kind of say their name. That way we can get names and faces together, and it kind of serves as our roll call for quorum as well. So we'll start with Greg on the end there.
Okay, my name is Gregory Hayden.
John Kanowski, Blaine Lopez,
Stevie Sides, Melody Cooper.
and on the line,
And caller, Phyllis? You want to state your name?
Who, me?
Yes.
Phyllis Jackson, I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. Catherine?
Kathy Mitchell.
okay. So we got Kathy and Phyllis that are on virtual, so that's actually everybody. So we have a full board here today. So I know we got a couple new board members, so I'm going to tell you all that we're in these meetings. We do follow pretty much Robert's rules, although it's kind of sometimes a little bit modified because none of us are very good professionals at Robert's rules. But we try to follow them as best as possible. Obviously, we're trying to stay within the confines of Open Meetings Act and make sure we're giving everybody a fair time to speak. We've really been very courteous with everybody over the last few months about giving everybody a good opportunity to say their piece and weigh in on items as we should. We normally don't have anybody on the citizens to be heard. I'm looking forward to the day we actually have somebody come in and give some input, but we'll go ahead and go through the agenda, and in the first section is citizens to be heard. And I usually just read out the section so everybody understands what this particular agenda item is supposed to be. So we cannot discuss any presented issue nor any action be taken on any issues at this time. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and this time is not transferable. Discussion by the EDC of any item not on the agenda shall be limited to statements of specific factual information given in response to any inquiry, a recitation of existing policy in response to any inquiry, and a proposal to place the item on a future EDC agenda. So if we had any citizens be heard, this would be the time, but I don't believe we have anybody signed up.
No, Mr. President.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the consent items, which are going to be items 3 and 4. So all consent agenda items listed below are considered routine by the EDC staff and are intended to be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a director requests it, in which event the item will be removed from the consent and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. So we have item 3, which is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting, and we have item 4, which is approval of the EDC fiscal year ending 2020 revenue and expense report dated October 31st, 2020. And Glenn does a very good job of putting things in the book according to the agenda item. So number 3, you'll see the regular meeting minutes from the last meeting, and number 4 will be the fiscal budget. So at this time, do we have any board members that want to pull any of the items 3 or 4 from the consent agenda? No? With that being done, then do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda items?
Motion for approval of consent agenda. I believe it's 4 and 5, or is it 3 and 4?
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
As written.
Okay, second? Okay, I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed say nay. So ayes have it, so the consent agenda passes. So now we're going to move on to the items for individual consideration. So there's no specific language on what the individual consideration is, but these are items that we will open up for discussion between the board members in regards to if you've got any questions or if you just want to have open discussion regarding them. Before we have a vote, of course, you do not have to open up a discussion. If you wanted to go straight to vote, you can too as well. So we have discussion of and action on the election of officers for the EDC Board of Directors as required by the EDC restated and amended Articles of Incorporation, Article 10, Board of Directors, including but not limited to President, Vice President, and Secretary. All right. So we need to, I guess we're going to need to discuss, so is this meant for us to discuss new board members coming on?
Not new board members coming on. Every year, we're required to appoint a president, vice president, and secretary.
Okay.
It Could be the ones currently serving, or it could be new ones.
Okay.
But it is up to the board to decide.
Okay, very good. So this is actually for my position. VP.
Elaine, are you comfortable with the position?
Yeah, I still feel good in it.
Then I nominate Glenn.
Second.
Okay,
We got one now.
yeah, we got one down. So let's go ahead and vote on, we'll go through them individually, that way we kind of have it all. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. So that motion passes. Thank you all very much. Very proud to serve as y'all's president again.
Thank you.
Okay, vice president, who's our current vice president?
Ron.
Ron, so obviously we need to name a new vice president on, for the board with Ron being gone. So, at this time, I entertain any motions for, anybody that wants to have discussion, if they want to, you know, give their,
John, would you be comfortable with the position?
I would go with secretary, but not vice president.
okay? We have any,
I feel like I'm still learning.
Catherine, would you like, well, I don't want to put it in your mouth, but would you like to step up?
Kathy?
Vice President?
Kathy, would you be comfortable as vice chairman?
Still on.
no?
Trying to sound volume.
Sorry, I had it on mute.
So tell us the truth. What did you say?
Would you be comfortable serving as vice president?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Nominate Kathy.
All right, we
A
have
second.
a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. So the ayes have it. So Kathy, congratulations. All right, last we have secretary. I think John,
John.
you expressed an interest in that. So do we have a motion?
I so move.
Okay, we have a second?
Second?
All right. we
I'll
have a motion.
second.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed
Aye.
say nay. So ayes have it. So very good. We have another.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, everyone. That's very good. All right, so we're going to move on to item number 6. So this is discussion of and action on approving amendments to the EDC policy and procedures to include a decision tree matrix that will be utilized to evaluate projects and expenditures over $10,000 or another expenditure amount agreed upon by the board of directors to ensure unplanned projects brought to the EDC align with the current strategic work plan. So I'm just going to give a little brief history because this is we've seen this agenda item a couple months ago before the election. What this is really coming up with is we're trying to come up with a procedure because as the board of the EDC, there's going to be items that are going to come to us that people are going to say, hey, well, this is something we really think we should invest money into as part of the EDC. And we're trying to come up with, and Matthew is actually driving this, and it's not a bad thing to have because we should always have a methodology of when we're looking at spending dollars. It's basically a matrix where you look at, okay, what are we spending the money for? Does this align with our goals as the EDC? There's several steps in there. I think, did you include that in there, Glenn?
I did. It is
Okay.
the last page.
So this is number
On that
6.
agenda item.
So if you go to number 6, so number 6 kind of gives the whole flow chart of how it works as far as the questions to be asked, you know, whether or not it falls within our code, whether we can keep it. A lot of it is in the political side in the beginning, and some of it has to do more with, is it something that we should be spending money on? So I think it's a good thing. Always have something to just at least make you think. And what it does is make us stop and talk and think. If nothing else, it may not give just a definitive, take you to the right answer, but it's going to definitely create dialogue. That is always a good thing whenever we're expending public money. So those are my thoughts on it. You know, so the new board members know I don't really get a vote on anything. I'm a tiebreaker in case we ever get stalemated, but I don't make motions and I don't second and I don't vote unless that situation. So really, I'm just kind of inform, give some background on what I can do, but really discussion and decisions come up to y'all.
I do have a question on the $10,000 point. I mean,
Sure.
how often does this come up and dollar value?
It's a good question. So the biggest, I think since the first meeting I attended, which is, God, I don't know how many months it's been now, we had 2 items that we expended money on, which was the splash pad and the sidewalk along
We've had 3, we also had the grant.
in the grant. Right, so we had the 2 in the very beginning. Recently, we had to expend money or decide to put money into the grant program as part of the Corona relief. And those are the 3 items that we've had probably within the last 6 to 8 months.
And the reason we said 10,000 is because by code, it has to, anything over 10,000 has to be approved by the board and has to be approved by council.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's why the $10,000 limit.
That's why I was wondering, 5,000,
Yeah.
that's still a lot of money.
Yeah, but
To be
10,000
spending
is just by
taxpayers'
law.
money.
By law, it has to, anything under 10,000 does not have to go in front of council.
Gotcha.
Anything over 10,000 has to go in front of board and council.
Okay, well then that makes great sense.
Yeah. So it hasn't been very often. Of course, it's been a strange year as well. So hopefully we'll have more decisions or more projects that we can be looking at.
And this is anything that's outside of the realm of the budget. So anything that we have already approved within the budget that might be over 10,000 does not have to. This is anything outside of that. So there might be expenditures that we've already approved that is over 10,000. We do not have to come because that has already been approved within the budget process.
Right.
So this is any extra projects.
Gotcha.
I move that we approve amending the EDC policy and procedures to include a decision tree matrix that will be utilized to evaluate projects and expenditures over $10,000 or another expenditure amount agreed upon by the board of directors to ensure unplanned projects brought to the EDC align with the current strategic work plan.
I second the motion.
All right, we have a second, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So ayes have it, so the motion passes. So we shall now start implementing a decision matrix. And so I think actually we're coming up on is number 7 going to require us to actually go through the matrix? Or are we spending money on it? It's just
This doesn't have to go through the matrix.
Okay.
This actually.
That would be interesting.
Did we just
All right,
make
we
more
got
work?
The reason, or you can read the
Yeah.
caption first.
Sure, so number 7 is discussion of an action on appropriation of additional fiscal year end 2021 funds for electrical work to connect electrical meter loop, install outlets and light poles on Old Town Helotes Pedestrian Bridge.
So the reason this came up is because one of the things that y'all were funding or helping to fund was the parade in Old Town. With COVID, everything else, the parade is not, most likely not going to happen. You know, so we're looking at different things. One of the things is putting a lot of lights down Old Town, encourage people to drive down there and encouraging while they do that to shop and eat and everything else. So we have actually added some more Christmas decorations and lights. One of the things we wanted to do is actually light up the pedestrian bridge where there's not an electrical loop there. So the city actually, funds have actually paid for CPS to come, and that's what you'll see, the attachment to put a loop down there and to looking at getting light poles, decorative light poles and the actual boxes to put. But so on top of that expense, you need an electrician to add to put the light to connect.
Is it the door?
I think they're, I don't know who that is. I think they probably want to pay a ticket or something. Yeah. Is to connect the meter loop that CPS will install. We've already had Public Works, we bought the pole, Public Works has installed the pole, so CPS can actually put the meter loop in. We're looking at the decorative lights and looking at the plugs, okay? So the city will pay for that portion of it. We're asking if EDC's the pedestrian bridge was actually paid by EDC, and it being a collaborative partnership to light this pedestrian bridge, because we're trying to get lighting, not just for Christmas holidays, but for any other holidays, if they can help, if EDC can help with some of the expenses and just the electrical part of it. So the city will pay for the CPS fee for it, will pay, or has already got the pole installed, got staff to put that in there, and then we're gonna get the decorative poles, the decorative lighting at the end of each pedestrian, and to just light up the pathway, so because people do use that pedestrian bridge, it gets dark at night. And so, we got one quote, but we're, by law, because anything over 3,000, we have to get 3 quotes. We're hoping to get it lower, but we're saying not to exceed 6,000. And so, of course, like I said, we got one quote that was closer to about 5,500, but we're hoping to get it lower. By law, we have to go up for 2 more bids, and 2 of them have to be hubs. So we will go up for 2 more bids with 2 other, but before we do that, we wanted to see, if EDC, could pay for that additional portion of it, because city expenses will be paying, and it'd be a partnership between the city and EDC.
Did they explore the option of solar at all to see if that's a possibility? I know that there's some newer lights out that are.
There are, but then that's fine with that, but it's really hard to do all the other decorative lights and without the plugs. And we actually installed some plugs already on the pedestrian when it was built, but there's no power to those outlets.
Gotcha.
So to be able to get, and the way we're doing it is we're not doing overhead. The reason that this is a little bit higher is it's actually gonna go under the bridge. So the loop is on one side, so there's no electricity on that side of the bridge, so it's on the other side, and then that meter loop will go underneath the bridge and connect on the other side of the bridge.
The decorative lights, are they just temporary for Christmas? Or
No.
they're
No,
gonna have
they're
lights
gonna be
there for
permanent.
permanent? Do you have any pictures or anything?
We haven't decided on what those decorative lights will be yet,
Okay.
but the cost for the electrician would be, once we get it, they will install those lights,
Okay.
yeah.
So I see that we have kind of a not to exceed number on here, so if we approve the not to exceed, does the final number and kind of, does anything come back to us again, or are we
No.
just saying?
We were just saying that we cannot exceed that amount. And the reason I picked that amount is because we did already get one bid, and the bid is about between 5,500 to 5,800. We're hoping it'll get lower than that, but I have not gone out for the other 2 bids.
Okay, and that number will include the cost of the actual lights themselves?
No, the city is purchasing.
Okay, so we're basically paying for the labor, and the city's gonna purchase all the.
Right.
We're infrastructure, they're,
Yeah.
they get the
Turn on the
the
lights.
pretty part.
Yeah.
We've done some of
Can we
this.
like can we go out there and like actually be the ones that flip them on?
You can live if you need to. The city's paid for some of the.
That's what I want to do.
The city's paid for some of the infrastructure already through CPS and installing the pole,
Okay.
so.
So the pole's been purchased,
The pole's been purchased and
it's installed?
installed. I believe it's already installed over there. And now CPS, we're waiting for them to actually come and put the meter loop in.
Which corner is that on?
It's where right across from the pedestrian bridge.
Right, but on the floor side or on the line on one side or?
It's on the floor side. There's no electricity there's no connection that we can do on the line on one side.
Right.
It has to be on the other side.
So-
And that's why the loop has to go underneath the bridge to connect.
Right.
So there's no overhang wires.
So they're actually gonna go under the box culvert and come
Yeah.
up on the other side and go then and get power into the
And get
bridge.
power into the bridge.
Okay.
What part of our budget is this coming out of?
It's not, that's why we're asking for additional funds. I didn't feel like to take away, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it didn't fit into any of the line items.
Right, that's what I was asking.
So in our budget, and we were talking about more than likely, especially with things are going, that the Christmas parade will probably get canceled. What do we normally have in our budget for our Christmas parade expenditures?
5,000.
How much?
5,000,
5,000.
a little over 5,000. But I couldn't justify saying, okay, this is for the Christmas parade or anything else
Right,
like
I know.
that.
And there's gonna be an offset probably that's gonna happen just because, I hope it doesn't, I hope the Christmas parade happens, but, you know, we'll just have to see, to find out.
The numbers are saying that.
Yeah, the numbers are saying no, yeah, it's a total bummer, but there may be an offset to the cost of this electricity, which I think is a good cause, especially add some Christmas spirit and some light.
And,
I
you
think
know,
it's
and
more
just to
than
light
that.
the pathway on a
Yeah,
permanent basis.
just on an average night, you know, if you're
Yeah.
walking from line 101, 2 floors,
Yeah, it's
that
dark.
pathway will be lit. I think
Mhm.
I've been there several nights where you can just see the people flooding through there.
Mhm.
Even on the other side of the road across from 911, the people always right
There
there.
is.
That's very, very dark over there.
It is, so having just at least those lights there permanently will light the pathway.
Well, and actually, one of our goals is to increase, day trips and traffic, I don't know the exact verbiage.
Right.
But that would fit perfectly in our strategic work plan.
Right, Glenn and I talked about that and said, do we feel like this would fit? And that's one thing that, as I've taken on this position, is that Glenn and I always talk about, okay, does it fit our plan? Is it something that we feel before I'm gonna bring it to the board?
Tourists want to feel safe when they're in our city,
Exactly.
and a lighted area helps with that.
That's right.
Yeah, especially on a bridge.
Especially on the bridge.
All right, ready to vote?
A motion that we take action on line item 7.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, so it takes we'll get a motion to take action, so I guess we actually need a motion for, what's the action we're gonna do?
Your action is to approve the appropriation for additional funds,
Okay,
for the FY20 budget, for electrical work,
okay,
on the meter loop and install outlets.
Not to exceed 6,000.
Right.
Not to exceed 6,000.
yeah. So, Greg, just so we're clear, just to make the motion nice and easy, if you could just say, a motion for us to,
Okay.
Motion and read that.
I motion, but this is discussion.
You
Right.
can do it.
We're gonna
Discussion
make
and
it
action
appropriate.
on appropriation of the additional FYE 2021 funds for electrical work to connect the electrical meter loop, install outlets and light poles on Old Town Velodis, OTH, pedestrian bridge,
And you can put not to exceed 6,000.
not to exceed $6,000.
very good.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And all those opposed? So the motion passes. Very good. All right, well, those are all the items that we have for our individual consideration tonight. So we're going to go ahead and move on to staff report. So we're going to have first an update and summary on the EDC fiscal year 2019 strategic work plan and presenting the proposed 2021 strategic work plan for review and recommendations.
So 2020, y'all really didn't adopt a new strategic work plan. This was adopted in 2019.
Right.
And so Glenn and I sat down and we looked at reorganizing this and making it a little bit more broader, taking out some other items that we felt that, especially with the environment today and COVID and stuff like that, was just not feasible. So what we basically did was reorganize the goals by adding 2 new categories: accelerated recovery, advanced local educational and workforce development, merging the external and internal marketing to have more cohesiveness and branding, and then creating municipal development district due to the cost and legislative restrictions, as well as removing the gateway signage for the similar issues. We just felt like that those were just not, but those are our recommendations, okay? So these are not set in stone. This is something that we wanted y'all to review. And the reason we're giving this to y'all now to review and look at is because we want them to be broad, because we would like to have a work session in December or January. And the work session needs to be a few hours, because we need to talk about what do you want. Because there's been in the past where staff has come up with ideas or projects, worked hard on them, and then the board has said no. Said no, that's not the direction. So we need direction as staff on what the board wants in these categories. So these are the broad categories. So the first thing I need y'all to do is look at this and decide, are these the categories you want? Are these the categories in these goals that you want? Secondly, once you agree on the categories, what are the specific goals in those categories that you need us to start working on and bring to you to vote on? We only have so many months in the fiscal year and so forth, so we didn't do many big projects. Yes, we did a grant, but it was a different year last year. We couldn't bring a lot of people weren't coming in. I'm gonna tell you right now, we have a lot of big projects coming in to the city, just because developers are ready. So they're coming in, they're already, had their eye. It wasn't something, I wish I could say, okay, it's because we brought them in. Might have been some things that we did, some things that Glenn did, some things that development services did, but a lot of it was they want to be here in Helotes. They saw prime property, they want to relocate here, and they brought their business in. So I can't stand here and say, oh, it was because we did all this extra work last year to make sure they were here. We've helped them once they decided to come here and say, yes, this is the right place for you, and we're working with them to develop. So we'll see about 4 or 5 big commercial projects, start developing here, eventually. But we want to still bring, but we need to decide, what do we want to bring? How do we want to bring it? Is there initiatives, is there incentives that we want to be able to offer? And if they are the incentives, what kind of business are we looking at bringing? Is it retail? Is it office space? Is it restaurants? What is it? Because that will determine what kind of incentives that we offer. Right now, a lot of our 380 agreements are more property tax give backs or sales tax give backs or something like that. Well, there's a lot of other incentives out there that other cities and EDCs are offering that we're not. And so we can't just depend on always giving that as an incentive or reducing the permits or something like that. We need to think bigger, because we are growing bigger, if we want to grow bigger, and we need to decide how we want to grow. You know what I mean? And what's the word I'm trying to use, Glenn?
I was thinking of all the comments that I've seen out there from citizens. We cannot stop a certain type of development if it's allowed by zoning, but we can use incentives to get the type of development we want
Yeah.
to Helotes.
And that's what incentives
That is
are,
our
is to
incentives.
attract those businesses.
Yeah.
Like I said, we can't, if a certain restaurant, if a developer comes in here, wants this piece of land, and they want to bring this certain, we can't stop it. If it's zoned that, it's zoned that. We can't decide, what it is. But if we know of a developer that, that incentive will bring a certain kind, then that's what we need to attract. So we need to know, where do you see Helotes in 5, 10 years? Where do you want to see it? How do you want to? This is the best time right now because we are growing. And how fast do you want us to see us grow? And this, a lot of times, sometimes cities just blow up, and then they don't like how they look 10 years down the line. So we want to be able to mold that and make sure Helotes looks like what we want it to look like 10 years down the line. So that's what this is.
And so basically what you're saying is that we're gonna have a workshop, hopefully not in December.
Which is fine. That's why I'm giving options. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It would have to be, if I know we all work, so it's hard to get off during the day. So if it's an evening, if it's a weekend, I don't know. You are volunteers. You are volunteers, but we need your support to be able to do this, y'all. So we do need, a few hours, 2 to 4 hours of your time to really develop this, to be able to have a strong, and it might be a 2-year plan, 4-year plan, you know what I mean? We don't have to change it every year, but if we don't change it every year, then it needs to be something solid, that we know that this is something that staff can work on and work with, that this is something that if it's y'all on the board or someone else on the board, we're coming back to you with these projects for you to review and approve. But we want to make sure that these are the projects you want, because I've looked at past agendas and past things with past boards. I'm not saying that they've come with things and then the board says, no, that's not what, because obviously that wasn't the idea or the intent of the board. And we want to make sure that it is, because that's what the EDC board is for, So we're presenting this to you so you can look at it. So like I said, they're broader goals, and the reason they're broad is because that's all they are. They're the intent of the goal, and then from the goals, we will actually decide on what kind of projects we will pick from that. And what we'll do is at the workshop, Glenn will provide examples of these incentives, these different things that other cities and EDCs are doing that fit in all of those goals. So we're not just going to come here and expect you to have all these ideas. We will have those broken down for you and say, these are some of the ideas that we have. Is that something you're interested in? Is this something you want? If it's office space, these are the incentives for that. If it's restaurants, these are the incentives for that type of thing. then whatever ideas y'all have, please start sending them to us now, so that we can start doing the research, so when we're ready to have, this workshop, we'll have that information for you.
So, Marion, I know we're working off the 2019 work plan still. Is there do we have a deadline, or is there an urgency for us to have this workshop to get the 2020 established?
Actually, you'll go to the next one, there is
Okay.
a 2021, that's a 5-year plan, that, like I said, the goals are a little more broad, and there's definitions of what the priorities and projects are. In those, priority 1 is the accelerated recovery, and the reason we picked that is because of the COVID-19. And to be able to, EDC has always been, okay, what to bring businesses in. Okay, we need to rethink that now. It's how to also keep the current businesses that we have established. So that's why it's, some of the ideas that we had is like create a user-friendly database to recover resources for EDC website, continue communications with local business leaders, stay informed of regional, these are just some of our ideas, some of the projects that we have, but maybe we need to expand them, maybe we need to change them, same with goal 2, we did priority 1 and priority 2 on there, to implement the development program, and so like I said, these are ideas for projects, and then we're gonna actually drill down, we're gonna get into the weeds with these and say, okay, these are how we're gonna implement those projects. Goal 3 is enhance economic development marketing. And we have we have 3 different priorities in that one. Goal 4 is the education workforce. Utilize, we have so many resources, I didn't realize UTSA had a small business development center that we could utilize, Yeah, so, you use them, maybe a lot of businesses did not know they could be utilized. So these are the things let's use those resources, and let's get that information out to our businesses. So, that's in goal 4, and then goal 5 is to develop the business, visitor center, because we put that in our budget. We put that in our budget to evaluate it. We don't have the monies to actually build it, but we have it to evaluate it, and that's something we need to start working on to decide, is that the direction we really want to go? Is that really going to benefit? Is that where the best way to spend EDC money? I don't know. You all live and work in this community, so you tell us.
Good. So I think this is, I love having, always a starting point, to start off with, and I think you've done a good job of putting that together. So really, it's a matter of us reviewing it and thinking of anything, that we want to add to these items, to these goals, within the goals, and new goals. We're all kind of a little bit different. It's kind of whenever we all came together, we've all come from different backgrounds, and we have different visions and thoughts. So I think it's going to be good for us all to sit down together and kind of learn everybody's personalities at the same time, and kind of figure out what everybody wants for the city. So.
And so if you all can get with Glenn, so we can figure out the best date and time. And if December is not good, then if January is, please, like I said, I know that's a lot to ask. Everybody has other commitments and so forth, but we do, I think to me, and I hope to y'all, this is very important. This is going to mold the future of our city.
Sure.
It really is. And so, Glenn will work with y'all on that date.
Okay.
To get this together.
All right. So we'll move on to item number 9, update on the small business grant program and digital billboard advertising program. So, Mary, I want you, for our new board members, kind of give them a little background on each one of those items.
Yeah. So we presented initially a loan program, no interest loan program. We didn't get a lot of people because they didn't want to get in debt and have to pay that back. So we had 3 applicants initially. And then we were able to, with the CARES funds, I presented it to the board and council to convert that to a grants program. EDC put in, what was it, 100, it was 300 initially for the loans. We used 60,000 with the loan, and then it left 240 for the grant. And then the city actually put in 150 for the CARES. And so with that, we were able to go out there and offer grants. Initially, we went out there and we were like, okay, we don't know We wanna do 0 to 10 employees. Then we were like, okay, maybe we extend it to 20 employees, because we weren't getting a lot of people weren't actually applying for the grants that we wanted to, and Glenn was knocking on doors, let me tell you.
I got free money, please.
Yes.
Take my money.
I think you would have to beg to get out money.
It was, yeah. And then some of them didn't, they thought they met the criteria, like, because, so the criteria wasn't just our criteria, it was what the county put on us. So they had to be under $1 million revenue for the year. Then we were able to get, an exception to say, okay, they might have made $1 million last year, but let's do the average for this year, because this year they're not gonna make $1 million. So
Right.
they made, let's make that exception. But they did have to meet a 15% decrease in the revenue. And so they did, and then, and then what we did is we kind of left it open and said, okay, up to 20,000, between 10 and 20,000, because we weren't sure how many were gonna apply. First we wanted to just do 10 because we were hoping we were gonna get bombarded. And as time went by, we didn't, so we were like, okay, we're gonna leave it open to 20, not really say what the parameters were on that, and then we'll see how much we can, at the end, give, the grant amount to. So we ended up having, 31 actually submit. We had 35 that went, we had what we called a Zoom grant, so they went online to be able to apply through BCL, okay? They filled out the application. 4 of them did not end up submitting, 31 did. Out of the 31, we had 15 that actually got approved. And then you'll see on the bottom why the other 15 did not qualify. And then why, what made them determined ineligible or did not start or whatever else. And then on the bottom it shows you the communications, how many incoming calls we had, how many incoming emails, outgoing phone calls, and outgoing emails. So between BCL, between Andrea, which is our PR specialist, and between Glenn, myself, and even the mayor, make phone calls to our 200 businesses that are on our certificate of occupancy list. Okay, and then these are all the phone calls and everything that was made. That was just made from BCL. That didn't include what Glenn, Andrea, and myself and the mayor did. Okay, and so at the end we were able to qualify 15 of them, and we gave them each $20,000. So, and they were, a lot of them were just, and they would have, it got them through. Some of them it got them through. Some of them they were able to expand some of their services because of it. Some of them they were able to change some things and to change their business so they can continue to operate in a different way because COVID has changed the way they have to operate. So they were very, very, very grateful for that. So and we weren't the only ones. So I had Chavano Park did the same thing. They only had 5. Out of their whole business. So it's not just us, it was just really hard. We get our sales tax report. We have been very, very lucky here in Helotes, and we have not had a dip in our sales tax. So overall average, we're at 6.6% increase in sales tax from last year.
Wow.
Some months with 18, some months 15. Now some of it is because you're doing, when you buy at your home, you're buying Amazon, whatever, the sales tax comes to Velodis.
Really?
So encourage people
Wow.
to shop from their home, not from their work, or not from anywhere else. Shop from your home.
Absolutely. A lot of the businesses have seen a small drop, anywhere from 4 to 10% drop in revenue, but all of that for the city was recouped through online sales.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's amazing.
But we've had companies, we had one retail that was a small business in Old Town that actually had an increase. We thought they were going to apply, and they were like, oh no, we're doing better now, because they actually launched their online right before COVID hit.
Right.
And they have seen an increase in their sales, and never through COVID had a decrease.
What about through your phone? If you do.
As long as your IP address, because they'll go through an IP address, and you're at your house.
So if you're at your house and your home network, then it counts. But if you're at work on your work network, it won't count. Okay. it's really good to know. Obviously, you know, I can direct at least everybody I know from Velodis, be like, if you're gonna buy anything online, do it from your house or from your phone at your house. So,
Exactly.
do that.
Finish, you can order whatever, but finish that transaction when you get home.
When you get home, yeah, get it all in your cart.
Sounds like we need like a Wi-Fi hotspot for just shopping.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah,
very,
so
very interesting.
while the, for the whole, state of Texas, it was a 0.63%, increase.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's great, so.
I'm sure the answer is yes. We are tracking those 15 businesses and plan on doing some sort of follow-up survey on them in the future to see how they're doing.
Yeah,
Of
we are.
course, I figured as much.
We are, so, like I said, some of them were just very, very, and they were, you know, some were in old towns, but some were down on Bandera, you know, that, you know, I would say half and half, you know, so that was really, good. The second thing was the billboard that, John's idea. We had 11 businesses actually, after we sent out the notices and everything, actually applied to want to have their billboard, have their, advertisement on the billboard. So we're starting that when, Glenn?
Monday.
Monday.
The first billboard will go up Monday, November 23rd. The following Monday, we'll have a second go up, and then we'll have, 2 more on December 7th.
So you'll see
And this
the-
is just the first round.
Yeah, and you'll see the list of the businesses. Actually, it was 13, I'm sorry, 13, right?
Yes.
Yes, it was 13. It was 13 of them, and they're color-coded of when they're gonna be on in the morning, afternoon, or evening. A lot of them, we asked them when they wanted it. Not everybody got their preferred, so we did first come, first serve on the preferred times. Everybody was accepted, but they didn't get the preferred, just depending on what slots we had. So you'll see examples of the ones, some of the ones like keep it
For this first
local,
round.
you know, and then what we decided to do was, like the one like crack mug and so forth, and we're doing it like on Ron, we said instead of just doing shop Helotes, we said, you know, exit here in Old Town, because they might not know, exit on Bandera and then they'll not know where to drive to after that. So we decided to change that, you know. The other one, we're hoping to launch. So if we don't have a parade, we're hoping if we get enough businesses to participate, we are doing a show us your lights. Hello, the show us your lights Old Town. So we're trying to get businesses. Glenn has been knocking on doors. Because we send an email out and just like the grants, not getting as much response as we would like, to say, hey, participate so we can put your name on the list. We'll do a text, we'll do advertisement out for a text so that people can drive down the street and then text the winner, like text and go to a website and vote for the winner. But we're trying to encourage people to drive down Old Town or drive down Bandera and vote for the business that has the best lights and so forth. And while they're there, maybe stop and shop and stop and eat, and, you know, and stuff like that. So we're hoping to get more. It just depends if we get enough businesses participate. If we don't, then this can't be a go. You know what I mean? Now, what we've done for the city is we put our traditional lights that we do on the poles, but we also put out extra ones. They're not lit yet, but we had a local landlord actually give us some lights that kind of move and so forth. And then the ones that worked, we were able to put them down, so while they're driving, they're gonna see them along Old Town.
They're gonna be so, well, I got to go through Old Town and see some of them already lit, and they're wonderful.
Yeah.
In fact, I was wondering, Marion, if, you know, I think what Old Town's gonna look like a typical Christmas.
That's our goal.
Absolutely. But, you know, I think it could be considered a public service announcement by like, Good Morning San Antonio or whatever.
That was our goal. If we get enough businesses to participate and like their businesses and we do this, show us your life, we can actually get that and get that advertisement out there. One of also the things that we're looking at is doing a virtual the lights here, because we might not be able to do it. So if we can't do the traditional the lights here, we're gonna do it virtually and get some special guests to come out and still have it. It's just gonna have to be virtual. You know what I mean? So we're doing as much as we can to encourage the Christmas spirit and to say it's still alive here in Helotes. We're thinking outside the box and, you know, doing it as much as possible and encouraging people to come here. And that's why we wanted to get these billboards up before the holidays so they can come shop, do their Christmas shopping here in Helotes. And we are sending an announcement out saying that, hey, we're still open, our businesses are still open, please come shop and come, you know, enjoy what is here in Helotes. So that is what we're doing too. Like I said, EDC is changing, not just trying to bring businesses, but what we can support the current businesses that are here. I mean, that's just the new norm, you know, that really is. Because, you know, when you have a business leave or close, there's no guarantee it's going to be filled back up with somebody. It really isn't. So we have to really think outside the box on those things. So we were, like I said, very lucky to get those lights. Public Works put them up. We've decorated here in City Hall. And then each year we're hoping to grow that and add more lights. You know, we'll have to do it little by little just because of funds. So we, you know, the city can only support so much each year. So we're trying to do that little by little.
Is there any chance of having, I know that there's like a radio station that just plays nonstop Christmas music, of just being able to advertise that somehow, like whenever you're in Old Town, to say tune into whatever, or if we can set up even a little AM radio or something, you know, to be able to, just because, I mean, it's 75 degrees, it's not Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you need the music, you know, we're not gonna have a white Christmas here.
And we're hoping that the business, our goal was that once we get the list of the businesses, we can put a little sign out in front of those businesses so they can say, hey, this business is participating and it has their name on it also. So that's another promo for them. And so, like I said, and we could put something like that, hey, tune into whatever, you know, for Christmas songs or.
I'm gonna reach out to Q, I think it's 1019 that's doing the Christmas.
I think it is too.
Why can't we do a partnership where we put their banners up with advertising them, but then they give us some free broadcast?
Absolutely.
That'd be a great
Yeah.
partnership.
Yep.
So
That's what's gonna make it feel like Christmas in
Yeah.
South Central Texas, you know?
Exactly. A lot, I mean, you know, you go like, so I live near in Stillwater, and so right across from there is the gun range. So they're doing lights up right now, and last year there wasn't as much. Already people were already, because they're trying to find things to do and feeling that, you know, people are already they were decorating right after, you know, Halloween, because they're trying to feel that spirit right now. And so we want to encourage that, and like I said, try to just let people know, you know, the Christmas spirit is alive here in Helotes.
I think we have a lot of people driving around looking at lights this year.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why
Something that you
I'm
can just
hoping
do
more
to get you out of the
businesses.
house.
So,
Get you out of
get
the
that-
house,
get
yeah.
that- Get that message out to the businesses that you know. Please, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
Very good. Well, thank you very much for that, those updates. I think that both programs are, sound very exciting as far as I think the grant program did exactly what it was supposed to
I
do.
did.
I'm glad that we were able to fund 15 businesses that needed the money, and we're able to help fund them. So, as John was saying, we'll just follow up and make sure that there's anything else we can help make sure that the money invested is well spent. So good. Well, that's really everything that we have on the agenda for today. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and have a motion for adjournment.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. It is now 7:52, and we are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.